Good morning, Patrick. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. That's good. I'll start the meeting in a few moments.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't need to bond this thing. I'm all right. So, next budget. How are you this morning, Caroline? Hi, good morning, everybody. And I will want to call the October issue of the Bicycle Traffic and Pedestrian Safety Committee meeting to order. I'll begin with our roll call. Ed Holland, I'm chair.
Kevin Welch.
Pat Bainan.
Caroline Vertongen.
All right, thank you, everybody. Item 2 is our standing point for anyone with an oral communication to the committee On items that are not related to the agenda, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or under, please. Does anybody have a comment for the committee? Caroline Vertonghen, go ahead.
Thank you. I didn't see the picnic on the agenda, but I think it was successful and hopefully we can learn a little bit how traffic went during that report. Also wanted to mention we had 2 candidates who want to become a member of PPTS, so we will have to follow up. We sent them a thank you note and hopefully they found the application link and sent it in. And then thirdly, I would like to make some changes to our website. And I don't know if this has to be an agenda item or not, but I think we could update it. Right now, all we have is the old study, traffic safety study. I think we can update it with the safe routes to school, a map, the same one that the Trails Committee has. And then also the CCAG report, especially that whole list that shows us where our worst accident-prone locations are.
Yep, absolutely. I think some materials that represent the committee's activities. that are
That's
there
right. So
are
I would like to have some direction how to process with that.
Yeah, let me find out. I'll take an action to investigate with whoever can do that at Town Centre or is looking after the website. And I'll make sure that's on the agenda for future meetings.
Great. So the Trails Committee uses a link like resources. And then you have the Park and Rec. They have it immediately under their heading. So there's several options. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. If anybody's watching wondering what I'm doing, Mary is very kindly trying to adjust the shades so that I don't get blinded. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, I'd like to also echo what Caroline mentioned. Thank you, everybody that volunteered to help with our Zots to Tots event and the town picnic. I think it was terrific. Pat, thank you for producing the materials for our graphic with the map and the other information on it.
I think that,
I'm going to bring a matters arising for approving your expenses and
what else do you do if I?
Yeah.
Now, let me know.
I think that's another item that we could put on the website. That would be a good thing.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right.
Well, Caroline and I had a wonderful time hosting.
Well, I saw you on the bouncy house. Well, that's good. Oh, and thank you. So I think you run the booth well, and hopefully we've netted 2 prospective candidates for that. And I will follow up with Town Centre. Normally, if there's an application, there's an automatic reply goes to me. Well, that's how it used to go. But I'm not sure now if that was actually forwarded by somebody who was watching the applications or if that came through an automatic route. Well, I'm not even sure who to talk to now with Town Centre, so that's another issue. Okay, if there are no further oral communications, I'd like to move on to.
Ed, yes, there are online.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I can't see very easily. Karen, go ahead, please.
Yeah, we can't see you.
Okay.
So it's nice to be able to see your lovely faces, and it's also difficult to hear. Pat, if you could speak clearly.
How about there?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm just trying to keep my image off YouTube. I'm afraid of deep fakes. So, oh, absolutely, yes.
You got some glare.
I certainly have.
Turned it into a religious moment.
Okay, item 3 will be approval of our minutes from the September meeting. I believe that those are a true and accurate representation of our meeting. Thank you, Caroline. Do I have a second for approval of the minutes?
I second it.
Okay, thank you. And then I'll make a motion to approve those minutes to go to the record. All in favor, raise a hand.
Aye.
Thank you. That's unanimous across the attending committee members. Thank you, everybody. Item 4 will be our sheriff's report. I did see Sergeant Taylor online. Patrick, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead with your report, please.
Start with the parking citations. We had 3 citations in the month of August. As I said, we just hired those new CSOs. They're getting trained up right now. Should see a reflection in citations and stuff like that for parking stuff within the next month or 2. When I get back, I'm going to have a little discussion with some of the 2 new people that we just hired, and explain to them the target areas that we'd like. If you'd like some areas of concern, please email them to me or email them to Mr. Holland, and I can address those areas of concern with the new people. Let's go to moving citations. Let's see here. Of course. Doesn't want to, my window doesn't want to open, sorry.
Okay, take your time.
Moving citations, we had 29 citations in the month of August. Most of those were on Alpine and Portola Road. We did have a number for speed and stop signs. You can see. I know the concern has been the front license plates for a lot of people. Like I said, we tell them to go out and do the front license plates, but sometimes, like you can see, there's probably 1 or 2 citations, I think, for 5200, which is license plates required on the vehicles. There's actually 3 citations, I think 4 citations for 5200. Those are the citations where license plates would be an issue, either front or back or improperly mounted. So that's 29 citations in the month of August.
Thank you.
And then for accidents, collisions, we had 2 in August. 1 major injury accident, which was a bicycle involved. That was on Alpine Road approaching Estradero. The rider was stopped at the stop sign. The vehicle was stopped at the stop sign. The rider tried to pass on the right-hand side and then collided with the person that was turning. And there was a failure to yield there. Person was transported to the hospital with injuries. The other one was at Portola Road. Person was driving westbound on Portola Road, and as they were trying to make a U-turn, they didn't clear behind them, and they made the U-turn on Portola Road and was sideswiped by somebody else. There was a complaint of pain at the injury, and the fire department responded. And in comparison to last year, there's only 1 accident last year on Portola Road. So not much of a change there.
Thank you. I know it falls in the wrong month, but there was a serious accident last month on Portola Road. Can you say anything further about that at this time?
I can look it up. It's probably still under investigation, so
Yeah.
But I could look it up and respond to you in an email, or I can wait till next month. It's one of those ones that's probably still under investigation. So a major injury accident, sometimes it goes to our mate team. And then when it goes to the mate team, then it takes a little bit longer sometimes for the investigation, do the measurements and everything else.
Okay, yeah, understood. I was really more concerned about the welfare of any of the people involved, if there's any update on that.
I know the accident you're talking about is the one where they were traveling extremely fast and ran into the trees on the roadway.
That's correct.
Yes, I know some of those participants are still in the hospital. One of them had severe injuries, so I know they're still in St. Edward Hospital right now.
Okay, thank you. I look forward to a full update when the time is right.
Okay.
On the, can I ask a
Oh, Pat,
question?
go ahead, please.
On the accident that happened at Portola and Arrastradero, this current one, can you explain that again? That really didn't make any sense to me as far as how that occurred. was there a fault? Was the driver or the cyclist at fault in that accident?
You referring to the one on Alpine and Restradero?
Oh, yes, yes, Alpine and Rossville, thank you.
Just reread it real quick to make sure I didn't miss anything.
And is there a possibility of getting any of the data as far as like, who was this person in this crash? Was it a young person, middle-aged, older? Can we get
The-
any demographic or information like that so we know kind of who our target audience is we need to communicate to?
I don't know if the demographics like that would really help with any of the accidents. I mean, because it's kind of a swath of everybody across the board in the accidents, what we see.
Okay.
And it's a lot of resident, non-residents, you know, we have a lot of people that, like this one in particular is a bicyclist who was riding on the roadway. I know there's a issue with bicyclists and motor vehicles and stuff like that. So I know in this situation, the vehicle was making a turn onto Restradero Road, and the bicyclist ran into the
Mm,
the vehicle, causing the
okay.
injury. So that's probably because either there's a failure to signal or something like that. But the primary cause of the accident was a failure to yield by the bicyclist who didn't slow down in time for it. So
Okay. All right, thank you.
To the
Okay.
chair, are we going to,
Go ahead.
according to the agenda, number B, can I ask
Of course,
questions?
yes. Go ahead, Caroline.
To the sheriff, I was wondering if you have an update. We asked you last time to get in contact with the CHP. There's a major problem at Aristradero. The signs, the no parking signs are there, and yet people are still parking there. We're very concerned because people cross there with young children to go to Alpine Inn. I've been talking to the owner and to the manager there. They have these tablets where they reinforce again and ask their guests not to park not only on Golden Oak, but also on Aristodero. And what they told us, that their guests are very rude and take the sign away and then pretend they actually throw those signs in the area where the horses are supposed to be held. And yeah, then they claim that staff told them that they could park there, which is not, which is just the opposite. So I was wondering if you were able to coordinate some services with CHP.
CHP they haven't said that they're not going to go out there and cite anybody, but we're going to send people out there with these new CSOs that I was talking about, once they're trained up to go enforce in the area that's under our jurisdiction that we can work with. That is something that we can do. So anybody that's parking on, say, Alpine Road or the very end there of Aristradero, because technically I think the Alpine Inn falls in our jurisdiction. So, but there's a very small, like maybe 10 yards or so of Restradero that's ours. And then also Golden Oak and all that is
Yeah.
also ours.
It's only on this side of the bridge, and then once you're on the other side of the creek, it's
Yeah, that's
Santa Clara
correct.
County.
Yeah. So we can enforce in those areas, and I'm gonna have my CSOs go out there during the high times of either during the weekdays or weekends during meal times. Go out there and target those areas. That's what I was talking about. If you have areas of concern like this, then I'll have them go out there and target those areas.
Thank you. And then I think I might anticipate Caroline's next question is, can you coordinate with your neighboring departments and look at the other side of the problem?
Yeah, I could discuss. I mean, I've talked to CHP officers about it before, and they just don't have CHP doesn't have the resources really to go out there and do parking citations. They're trying to deal with all the moving violations they have to deal with in the area. Santa Clara County, there doesn't really have CSOs in that area, so their deputies would go by there if they can. But that's not really their area that they focus their CSOs on. We're going to put people out there because it's an area of concern and it has been for a long time.
Mhm.
Understood, thank you.
People need an option. They have to have another place to park. That's the real problem. You know, there's kind of Windy Hill, but over in another
Mhm.
location.
I think it's
Big
difficult.
driveway.
If you build it, they will come, and then more will come. You'll always be oversubscribed for parking, whatever you create.
I notice now down at Ford Field, it's crowded.
Very much, yeah.
Maybe we have to coordinate with Alpine and talk about the remodeling because we're gonna get more people and more people out there, as you know. But as wintertime comes in,
Goes
it's
down.
gonna be a little bit less, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anything further for Sergeant Taylor? I think, as mentioned, if you have any concerns or ideas for enforcement locations or problems that you're aware, please let me know, or Kevin, as also as Sheriff's Commissioner Assistant, we can coordinate with Patrick.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'll move on to our next item, which would be a Public Works update, but I don't see anybody from Public Works or Town Centre. Did you get a response from, is anybody online? I know, Mary, you did ask somebody from Town Centre to see if they could attend by Zoom. I don't see any other hands. Okay, thank you. Yes, you did.
I believe we're finalizing the search for a permanent
Oh,
engineer.
okay, thank you. So that would be an engineer to deal with public works and roadway maintenance.
It's one of the qualifications that's supposed to be
Okay.
for the engineer position, so that he can do both design and
Can we include in their job description that they attend appropriate public meetings?
I will note that.
Okay, I don't know if that's a reasonable ask or a possible ask. I know Howard did it simply because he was engaged in everything that was happening. And
Yeah, I can add that to my report for the 3rd. Yeah.
all right, yeah, thank you. Nothing further there, which brings us on to section 6, which is our ongoing committee business. I know Mary and I and I think it's Angela and possibly Caroline. Been looking at the letter of support for the Skyline Boulevard Safety Improvement Project. And that is going along. I think, Mary, you and Craig Taylor have it as a ongoing interest with as town council representative. Are you able to speak some more to that? Please?
Yes. We probably need some help from you guys on how to move forward with that. I would appreciate, we could talk a little bit more about what you think is the next step and what you think would make the most difference.
Caroline, go ahead.
So I want to concur with Angela's proposal last time, where she wanted us to sign the letter as well.
Yep.
And I think we should then, if the town approves that, send it to all other agencies. So you have the Metropolitan Transportation Committee, then you have, and Angela knows more about that, then you have San Mateo County Safe Bike Committee. You have the San Mateo Education Department that is involved in safe routes to school. And I think once that letter is signed, or both letters are signed, then we submit that because we need help
To whom? To whom do you submit it?
to all the agencies. that are involved. And for instance, we have from CBAG, there is a representative, there are elected officials. I can think of Mr. Canopy or Canapa. He is the head of Metropolitan Transportation, isn't he? But anyway, we need to address it to those people and ask them how we can proceed with that, because everybody is in favor. It just, there seems to be a lack of coordination and we would like help. Apparently, according to Angela, there's a lot of money.
Yeah, so maybe the work of this committee could be to get together those addresses and figure out where we should focus that
Yes.
attention.
So by next time, I will have a list of,
Great.
okay.
Thank you, Caroline.
But
So
I have
to surmise that, the idea is that we had originally suggested representing to the county and to Caltrans from both BPTS and the support of the town council for Mr. Selker's initiative. But you're proposing that we spread the net on that wider to give it more visibility, to assist that, to also assist the initiative, to more agencies in the county and the district. Is that correct?
Yes, and not just that one particular project, but in general. If everybody wants to improve safety for the pedestrians and bikes, there should be some collaborative effort.
Yeah, I mean, that overlaps somewhat with the other initiative we have going on with CCAG and the local roadway
Exactly.
safety plan and the Vision Zero items. Kevin, I can see you would like to say something.
Yes, I would. Thank you. Mary, a question for you. When you combine public monies with private monies, I'm sure there's a legal aspect. Can we ask our attorney, our town attorney, what that legal aspect is, number one? Number two, has there been any other projects in the state of California work with Caltrans, which is a partnership with private and public funds?
I can say affirmatively to the number one. I can ask her. The number two, I don't know. I think we would have to figure that out.
Thank you.
My greatest worry is that we can't take this role until our finances are clarified, because we don't have the ability to get grant. We don't have the legal standing that I think we need to have.
I think another issue that's come along and with this, if I understand what I've read correctly, is that we've been asked to perhaps undertake some of the engineering design work as well, or have some input into that. Is that not correct?
No, I thought the engineering was all their part, was on the private part.
They are looking for
Support.
somebody to do this
Mhm.
project, which is way beyond our current staffing situation and our current
Yeah.
financial situation. So that, that's to be, I think there's a time component to this, which is
Mhm.
we have to get our house in order, and there's a time component of it might be part of the solution in the end. But we could have this project that could help support our engineering department and our public works department, and that we could all move forward.
So at the moment, what we'd like to say is that we will do what we can to support the principle.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm.
Thank you. Yeah, our next item on ongoing committee business is a discussion on the Hawthorne's property. I know there is another meeting of,
Yes,
can you give us details, please, Pat? Thank you.
Monday, October 21st, there will be a meeting here in the schoolhouse, open to the public, where bid head will be here talking to people about office.
And that will be the Portola Valley Ad Hoc Committee, is that correct?
Yes. So that's really important. Well, the time, I did not see notice of time. They usually meet early, to spec the 6 o'clock.
I think it was 5 or 6 PM, wasn't it?
Yeah, usually early.
We'll see if Karen is still online because she's part of the.
Just about to go there.
I
Oh,
am
you-
still online, but I'm the other Karen. I'm the one, this is Karen
Oh.
Bach, that was on the pod.
Oh,
I'm-
thank you.
Oh, beg your pardon. Thank you.
I couldn't find the time. There's also on the 30th, the Hawthorne project is now on the town council agenda. So I think that will be, after we have information from the 21st meeting, we'll have some for those.
Just give me a moment. I'll see if I can bring up that proposed time. I think I have the email here.
I'll continue to look at that.
So will that project come back to us? Or
Well, that's a
first
good
to town
question.
council and then?
This means.
Mhm.
Or next meeting.
Okay, 10:21 has been proposed, but I do not see a time issued for that yet.
Right.
So watch this space. But ahead of this and some other meetings, it has been suggested that we look again at the safety implications of options 9 and 10 for the different parking layouts within the Hawthorne structure. So, but item 9 was access with the existing driveway and a layout of parking that would be, cars would enter and then turn to the right and occupy the sort of meadow space that would need to be regraded quite significantly. Item 10 proposes that we open up a driveway at the three-way intersection at Alpine and Portola as it is currently, and have an extra driveway there, turning to the left and using a slightly overlapping part, but further up the hill. And it's been suggested to me that we look at those options again in the light of road safety, what would be expected, and what other unintended consequences there would be for a need to change our roadway layouts. I don't know how much of that we can easily get debated here in terms of putting anything together as a recommendation, but that was what was asked that we attempt at our meeting. So let's see. So I have discussion of options for site access and parking and potential impact on Alpine Road and the Alpine Trail users. So that's the other important factor in that. We're also responsible to preserve and conserve safety.
So you're going to be there on the 21st and you represent this committee? So what if we all look at the map and send our findings to Pat? Or do you first want it to go to the chair and then he?
Well, I had in mind that we attempt to discuss some of those options and at least reach a potential recommendation on a preferred option here that we could also communicate to that meeting and then communicate to Midpen at that meeting. But if you don't feel that we're in a good position to do that right now, obviously we can.
I think we're familiar with the two options.
Mhm.
And I think the two of them are so different because what we're doing is with option 10 is really having to take a planning loop into the future because it's so different from what we have now. The other option 9, across the way from the entrance to Roberts, there's already a driveway there. It exists. It's very low key. It's very appealing as far as I think. In looking at it, it looks very quaint, very quiet, very appealing. There's not as much grade movement, dirt movement in option 9 to option 10 by a long shot. But between the two of them, the parking area is going to be in between. Really, one you'll be approaching from the left, the other from the right, but it's still the same parking area. So what we're really trying to figure out is which way do we want people to come in?
Yep.
So Ed, why don't, should we just go through what everyone thinks and then see if we can? come
Yes,
up
please.
with
I think
an
that's
agreement?
ideal. That's a good proposal. And this is our discussion session. I think that's a good way to lay out the discussion. I'll let the committee comment first and then we'll open it up to any online comment as well.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Well, I think the purpose is to discuss this again and then attempt to do that. I know we're going over old ground again
It's a
somewhat, but I
big
think this
deal.
is the correct way to do it.
I think it's a very big deal, and, I think, I don't want to say any more until we discuss, because the rest of the opinion, not,
There is one other idea that has come up, and I grant you this is only an idea amongst us as Portola Valley and ad hoc committee people, and that is that there is a concern that having bidirectional traffic at the option 9 would be more of a hazard, and that could be mitigated in principle by having access to the site from the driveway on Los Trancos. So
Mm.
entrance only at that point, and exit only from the existing driveway.
Take Los Trancos off. It is so dangerous. It is, we have a kid that just got a police car, one of those old police cars, goes about 50 miles an hour.
I think
down
I've
the
seen
road.
him.
Okay, yeah, you've seen him. He lives on Los Trancos. That is an accident. I don't think Los Trancos should be on it. It's not let's just stick to 9 and 10.
Very well. I know another concern, and I beg your pardon for holding things up here, but another concern that has been expressed to me is that development is being considered stepwise. So at the moment, it is only the open space portion of the map that is being considered, but there is a plan in the future to develop around the house and what they call the historic part of it. And that there's a feeling that they should be considered together because ultimately that will stack up to the total parking and that traffic and access need. And we're boiling a frog by only considering the open space access at the moment and not the historic site access. But that's what Mid-Penn is wanting to do, and that's how they're opening the site up. So I don't know how we make those two things meet, certainly at this point, but it is difficult. But I think one request is to, for this meeting on the 21st, would be to say to Mid-Penn, look, give us your bigger vision of what's going to happen here so that we can consider the current options in the light of that. As things change on the site, but this gets very mired. Anyway, Caroline, would you be willing to start off with your comments and then we'll work our way along the dais?
Sure.
Thank you.
So I concur with Pat that number 9 is very quaint and the entrance is there. I like the way they designed the parking. My concern, of course, which we brought up, there's no center lane where people can easily wait until they can make their left turn into the entrance. And then the same way, will we allow them to exit on both directions? So that's my concern. It could be mitigated. I was hoping we could have done this before, but we were always told that we have to wait until it comes to the town council. So that is coming now. Number 10, I've been talking to many residents, especially those who have children at Ormondale and Corte Madera, and they made me realize this is the only intersection that has a stop sign. Otherwise, you can just go from 280 accessing through Alpine to Portola Road, and that's the only stop sign. So we need to keep it. Although I was thinking of a roundabout, but we can do roundabouts at other areas to slow down traffic. But this will become a major intersection. I don't want to see stoplights. But we need planning for that. And we should not approve that entrance unless the traffic engineers have a good proposal for it. As you know, that is the safe routes to school where our kids walk back to Alpine Hills or walk to school, even though that they mention they will make a trail on the other side of the fence. Still, it's a blind spot for people who drive in and drive out. So it's tricky. But I think we should put our foot down and say, there's already so many issues on both Portola and Alpine. With current projects, we cannot move forward until we have a real proposal. And what many people have asked is, because of the bad planning in the last few years, you know, you have the Standwood Terrace or whatever it's called now, you have Willow Commons, you have the Priory. They were all investigated or planned individually. And we have asked so many times, we need a comprehensive traffic survey of what the traffic is now, because all these projects are using old data from 2019, way before the COVID. And so we have major issues in town. And people have been asking, it's possible to just combine all the newest data that you have and highlight all the problems. And it should not be an individual project. It should be for the whole town. And like Pat said, this is a long-term infrastructure improvement that we have to think of. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. So if I might surmise, in reviewing just the Hawthorne's aspect of things as we are now, you are more in favor of option 9 than option 10?
It depends how fast they want to move forward.
That's another question I don't have. Would you also support the request that we consider all the future use of that site, including the historic complex, as well as just open space access?
Sure, but I thought it was off the plan.
It is, but if we're making a recommendation, we could include that in our recommendation.
Okay. Well, it could be one side is the entrance and the other side is the exit. If they enter Los Troncos, making a right turn, and they exit making a right turn on Alpine, that's a possibility. Yep.
Pat, go ahead with your comments, please.
All right. What we're trying to create is a park. We're not trying to create something where it's a drive-up situation. If you have historic buildings in one section of a park, people can walk to it. They don't have to be able to drive right up to the building. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like we really need to be accommodating access for cars in that way. A long time ago, the Parks Committee was here, Trails and Parks, and they were saying no parking. Just have people get here on foot, on a bike, and leave it that way. And the more and more complicated it gets as far as all these different entrances and access and disruption of so many different levels of people's lives for a 1.5 mile trail. I just kind of wondered to myself. And then you look at in the big picture, who's going to pay for it?
Mhm.
Because every one of these things, open space stops at their border. And Portola Valley, from what I understand, and you know, whomever picks up the rest of the tab. This is another thing to consider in our present state. how long out is this project? You know, so I just think, uh, option 10, after with the safe bikes and or the safe routes to school, that does get really complicated in the corner. And if it is the only stop sign, it's true, otherwise people are just going to be, if it is a roundabout, they're just gonna keep going. There's nothing to slow people down. So if you keep the stop sign there, then maybe 9 is one thing. Okay, Kevin, what do you think?
Thank you, Pat.
It's only my opinion.
Yeah.
First of all, I look at the past. When the Hawthorne property was put in there, and I haven't hiked in that area, there's an entrance already. That entrance was looked at probably way before they even constructed a home in that particular area. We have 10,000 cars traveling down Alpine Road per day, both ways. 8,000 vehicles traveling Portola Road every day, both ways. If you look at the intersection there of Alpine and Portola Road, there's already a crossing guard for the kids. Now, why the crossing guard there? Crossing guard's there because we have safe routes to school. There's bicycles that, as you know, stop at that intersection continuously to go to Roberts or whatever. It's a very dangerous intersection. We know that. We've had people crash in that intersection over the years that I've been on this committee. The only thing I can say is we're adding more people into our community, which we want. We want the bicyclists here, but we also have horses. Very dangerous area when you go across that particular intersection with a horse. I know that. A very complex issue, and we really have to think about this for the safety of everybody. We want people to enjoy this particular habitat that we have out here. It's natural beauty, but it is our responsibility to make it safe. The only thing I can say is, if I had to vote on this, I would probably go on option 9. And the reason is because in the past, that entrance was made for that property. We are in financial straits right now, this town. We can't afford to add more construction up there at Alpine and Portola Road. There's a lot of things we have to consider on this committee and make it a useful, personable eventual for each person who wants to enjoy that particular area. That's about all I have to say.
Kevin, thank you. I think I'm in broad agreement with the rest of the committee that the consequences of making a change at the Alpine and Portola Road intersection are possibly more expensive to the town. The implications there. That's a major change to our character of, the middle of town, essentially. It's the one intersection in town that everybody knows and sees. It would change the character of that area very, very greatly. I know that is a traffic safety item, but it would certainly have implication for a very heavily used intersection regarding journeys to and from school, kids biking and walking in the morning and in the afternoon. And the afternoon traffic is far more likely to overlap with access to the park. And more children cross from Triangle Park over to the Hawthorne side at that point than would cross the trail further down if we use the existing driveway. Because the foot traffic and bicycle traffic related to the kids is all concentrated on the corner. They're crossing, typically, I see them crossing, more of them crossing Alpine Road off down over to the shops and all the other things. So, of course.
So it's an interesting idea. Do you think that down the road, what's going to happen is that we will be adding a crossing at the new intersection, if we're going to highlight 9, between Roberts and the actual intersection as an alternate for kids to use as opposed to our T intersection at Portola and Alpine.
So
We're going to instigate that much traffic that it would move across.
that's a very good question. I don't know the answer. I was going to come on to the change in the road layout that would occur at Alpine and Patola is fairly clear. It would
I can
add
answer that
another
for Pat.
driveway. There'd be work in the easement area where the trail exists now to get across what is quite a deep section of ground before you get from what's the existing edge of roadway to the fence line that presumably demarks the property boundary for Hawthorns. I have safety concerns about pedestrian traffic in that area if you add a 4th direction off the stop sign. And what would you have to do to the road layouts to accommodate that? But if moving down to option 9, which I prefer because I think it has less impact on the town and the roadways, there is then the issue of traffic crossing, traffic inflow. So we would have to look at a way to add a center turn lane and look at the road widths that exist already, because I don't know if the road funnels down at that point, but at Alpine and Patola intersection, there are 3 lanes. Because there is a straight through and a right turn lane as you come
The
towards.
right turn lane is added after the driveway going into Roberts Hardware. So it's funneled.
John, I don't know if the total roadway width has changed by that much at
right,
that
right.
point.
We
So,
have to go
so
look
if you
at
could
that.
change just the striping, that would be a minimally expensive impact for the town. That could be accommodated at the next striping change, the next
Right,
renewal of striping.
You're talking about left turn lane.
A left turn lane, I beg your pardon, yeah.
There might be room, but maybe we have to go look, because as Howard said, they made the lanes narrower already to accommodate the bike lanes.
Yes.
So we have to go and look. Kevin's got a huge statement here, so we can go over there and look it over.
Okay, so I mean, in the interest of time, I think my personal recommendation would be, yes, prefer option 9 still. But also a request that we see the bigger picture of all the site development and, how much, what other traffic access we're going to expect. If they're opening up the historic complex, how will that be accessed? Will it use will it use the parking that's proposed at this stage, or will it add something later that we're not aware of?
Right, I think that initially, with all of these plans, there is space allowed within the parking area to put more overflow within. I mean, in discussing it with Midpen, more parking, it's always been something they talked about doing if needed. And there is space for that. But, back to the Trails Committee, less might be best. So, I think keeping it to a minimum might be a benefit to everybody. So less parking, it's only a mile and a half. How much do we want to promote? So I think keeping it on the down low. Though when people find out about the history of the building, it will become an attraction.
Absolutely, I think it will.
What about time constraints for the time being? Can we implement that? Or can we suggest that?
I mean,
For instance, that the park doesn't open before 10 o'clock.
access
PM,
restrictions.
They'll do it towards mid-10 hours, sunset.
Which is what,
sunrise.
oh, okay.
Okay, thank you, committee. I'm going to open this up now to any resident comment. If anybody's still online.
Hi, this is Karen Botcher. Yes, I just wanted I respect you guys' judgment. It sounds like you're going to option 9. I don't have a problem with that. But I wanted to let you know why I voted for option 10 strongly and to clarify some of the things that you were discussing. Pat, the grading on option 9 is actually much more than option 10. The driveway, yes, directly there will be more in option 10, but 9 requires a lot of grading for the parking lot. And then I believe Linda Brothers brought up the CEQA issue, which is very valid that it's hard to do it without the historic complex. And I know that Anna, the general manager at Mid-Penn, they are planning for a bigger parking lot because they intend to use the same parking lot for the historic complex. So if you think of, they have some event there, they will be using this parking lot. So I don't think you're going to be able to reduce the parking lot size. Another point, I spent a lot of time talking with Andrew, the traffic guy, and he keeps saying that, you know, keep the intersection at the same place because you don't want to have T intersections. And as somebody who frequents Roberts quite a bit and have to make a left turn there, there's a lot of traffic and it's not that easy to use that area. So to me, the logic would be to have it at the same place, but I understand your concerns about the change. And then the other final point I just wanted to make was one thing I was comfortable with the safe route to school was that it doesn't really overlap with park usage. So mostly the people are coming home from school and most people use the parks on the weekends or in the early morning hours. And I would assume that this informal drop off that happens in Triangle Park could easily be moved to this parking lot and the kids won't have to be crossing the street that much. I know it's a lot of things to consider at once and I respect your judgment also. I don't think any of these answers, there's no black and white answer to any of this stuff. So I just wanted to clarify that for you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen.
Good points you made.
Okay, so the third part of this section would be to decide, do we want to make a proposal on it and then make a recommendation for the next meeting? Are we clear to go ahead on that, or is that something you would prefer to hold?
I would like to submit something as a representation at the ad hoc meeting, 10/21.
I think it, perhaps at least should
We
highlight
should
that we
say
have
so.
concerns.
Absolutely, it's an opportunity for us to have our voice heard. And we don't get many, so I think we should definitely. voice
So we all sent our proposal to the chair.
I think at this point, we could propose to make a recommendation. What did I have here? Proposal to make a new recommendation and then a committee vote on making that recommendation or drafting it to be ready. Do we have to then review that at another meeting, Mary, or would that be just, if we agreed the basic format of it and the basic bullet points, I think we can go ahead. I think we can, yeah.
And the motion being?
I know
We'd have to create, we'd have to, yeah, done option 9 and 10 and
Option 9 at this time.
at this time.
Yeah.
This majority, all of it.
And then we just stipulated the reasons why.
I think
So we
so.
already mentioned some, like the
Yeah.
financial
so-
aspects of the town right now, we just don't have the funds. That's just one,
We got a lot of
basic.
reasons.
and that's pretty basic when it comes to money, right?
Financial impact on the scenic corridor, and an impact on, potential impact on trail uses, although timing differences noted.
So those are the conditions.
Exposed to the town.
Yeah.
For that.
Exactly.
Okay. So if I propose that we make that recommendation, do I have a second? Second. And then at this point, we will,
All in favor?
I,
I,
Aye.
so that is our vote to make that recommendation carried by all members of the committee.
majority.
Thank you.
Was there somebody online? who
I
wanted-
thought I heard another voice. Was somebody making a comment? Do I have another comment from the wider audience and the youth waves? No, I don't. Okay, thank you. Right. Closing on the home straight. I was hoping Angela would be here to take us through more on the update of our local roadway safety plan. The machinations are still turning as we decide what to do and how to proceed with CCAG.
Well, I think the proposal we discussed earlier is we have to have a list of everybody we can contact and then either make a modification on the letter that we submitted to town council.
Oh, this is a different,
I think it all ties in.
it does, but I know there's been some discussion recently specifically on the CCAG zero,
Okay, so we don't know about it.
not zero
Okay.
tolerance, Vision Zero. And our qualification to be included in that as part of the CCAG initiative. But I'll defer that to the
Next
time
time.
when we can discuss that in more depth. Safe Routes to School Subcommittee update would be item 6D. Is there anything from you, Caroline, on that?
I continue to attend the Trails Committee because this is a coordinated effort. And of course, we're all waiting for the engineer. Currently, there's some issues with the Priory. That's why I was hoping that we can bring it to our agenda. I brought the plans again, so they don't understand that there are still problems with the alternative route that they created since they added more students, which was approved by the town council and the planning December 21. And I had asked the headmaster to at least come and present it to the Bike Pedestrian Traffic Safety Committee, because we are the ones who have heard the complaints and the concerns from the residents over the last 2.5 years, but nothing has happened. So they claim, and yes, it has helped a little bit. So they changed the hours. So students start later, they start at 9, and they're supposed to use Gambetta Lane. There's always a backup there. We have mentioned the issues. A lot of students drive electric cars. They're in a hurry. They don't look, who's crossing that crosswalk. Well, it's not really a crosswalk, but is it a right of way? Because you cannot hear them. And
The-
so
th-
they
th- this is
they
the-
make a right turn.
Vehicles entering the Priory property at Gambetta Lane and they're crossing the trail, which
And
is
they're
used
crossing the
by-
trail.
A lot of kids
They're supposed
bike
to
and
be,
walk that trail.
and the main entrance is supposed to be only an exit road, and that there's no oversight. So you have, I see it all the time, and that's what residents have said. So you have times where somebody's coming or waiting to make an exit from Georgia Lane to the left. To the right would be no problem. You have somebody who wants to exit the main entrance of the Priory. You have a major obstruction. You have that bus stop that is not functioning, but it ruins the visibility. You also have so you have the car on Georgia Lane, you have somebody at the main entrance. We don't know if they don't use their blinker, you don't know if they will exit to the left, to the right. Then you have somebody coming from, is that Madeira? Corte Madeira?
There and Brookside.
Who, we don't know, will they cross? And then there is that blind spot on Portola Road, that bend there. It's a hazard. And then you have trucks, and I've mentioned it several times. We can make a diagram, we can propose it to if the new engineer comes, but it's time that all projects in Portola Valley contribute to the safety of this community. And so Woodside Priory is part of our community. They should all help pitch in. And I know the headmaster is willing to do that, but I cannot make any proposals to him. I have to follow the process. So that's why I invited him to come and present his plans here, but nothing has happened.
It would be interesting to hear from them.
Well, he presented it to the Trails Committee.
Okay. Please pursue with him to talk to us. I think I'd like to hear.
Well, I will send the invitation to you, and perhaps that
Absolutely.
will
Yes, please.
make
Thank you.
a better impact.
Yeah. With, One thing, Carolyn, being involved with schools for a long time, like 50 years, right? They don't have any say into the public right of ways. Their boundaries
Stop.
especially stop at a certain point. And they can't even, it's make a political statement, actually.
Sure, but if somebody's willing, we can try to approach him and see how far he will go.
Yeah, that's a good.
Because their plan, it was a good plan, it's just there's no oversight. And so there's things that should be corrected and they can correct it from their end. And it seems like they're willing to, so let's reach out to them and
This is a goodwill issue rather than a
Exactly.
policy issue.
Exactly.
Because by the same token, Kevin, local administrations can't really tell schools what to do either. The boundary, that boundary, the pretty hard boundary between the two lands. Okay.
so, and on another,
Thank you.
I will contact the San Mateo County Education Department again to see if new grants are up for grabs. They do traffic designs. They're willing to come out and it's not a lost cause. We will see and then submit it to the town, to the schools because the public schools have to participate in that one. So we will see. But that's my plan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Caroline, for your efforts with that. Item 6E would be discussion of Alpine Inn and Golden Oak parking concerns, but I think we covered that with our discussion with the sheriff.
I know, but Alpine Inn is asking our help. And so if you are still willing to put a temporary parking, no parking signs, they would really appreciate that.
You mean at the Golden Oak location?
Because I mean, 3-4 cars parked there now constantly. And so I brought it up and I said, can I put a sign there? I had no idea that they have to go through signs every week. It's an Amazon delivery. And he says, the moment I get one, I will do it. But it's thousands of dollars that we spent because we have guests who are not respecting
I'm shocked in the Bay
our
Area.
town.
And that's going to happen any place, unfortunately. That's enforcement, and that's what we want to follow
Yeah.
through.
So,
with the
so
sheriff.
they asked me if you're willing to do it, they would appreciate it.
Carolyn, just a bit of information. Maybe we should approach the owners of the Alpine Inn and tell them that they have to take the initiative to call the sheriff's department if they see anybody parking on Golden Oak. That's what I would suggest.
They have done it so many times. They spent already, and they will put that sign up. They will spend because
We have any signs from our Windy Hill project and stuff?
I'm sure I mean, there is a,
We've got a lot of storages of no parking signs. We could put them, they do more good there than in storage.
yes. I wonder what is the correct mechanism to get that, we need to get that approved by, it would have been Howard. I don't think,
like the flags.
or is it something that we could take on as a responsibility as part of Sheriff's Commission? And maybe just discuss it with Matthew Fox and Patrick Taylor and get their tacit approval for it.
I
And
think that's
pursue
a
it that way.
great idea.
Action. Yeah.
Okay, hold that thought. We'll see what we can do. I'll report back on it.
Thank you.
We'll follow up on that.
Our last item then would be our Alternative Transport Infrastructure Subcommittee.
That's you.
That's you, Pat.
Well, I don't really have anything to report at this
Okay.
time.
I know we still have the idea to,
All one package?
Well,
it kind of is now, but yeah,
I'm supposed to be working with Angela on this.
I know you have your Sharrow's
It's all
proposal
part of the
for Windy
big
Hill, but
global plan.
yeah,
And she's been really busy working on the big global plan at a different level. So
Yeah.
I think when we do have our updates as far as the alternate transportation, it will be significant. But
Okay.
right now it's in Angela's.
all right. I will keep the placeholder.
Yeah,
And again,
just
with
keep it going.
any of these standing items, if you think there is something that I have not included that you would like to include, please just communicate that to me directly
Very good,
and I will
very
add
good.
them. All right, thank you. Last on the agenda would be events. I don't think we have anything coming up, but I do want to say another big thank you again for town picnic and Dots to Tots
Really, really
activities.
good.
Did well.
Yeah, it was good. Okay.
I have one matter arising, which is related to the picnic, which is your Pat, your expenses claim for the graphics produced.
Yeah.
And I did want to just put that by the committee. Yeah, I will submit this.
Oh, right, right.
And that would be a submission for a claim in the amount of $76.55 for a graphic that we all know was produced and existed. So I'd say absolutely in favor of that. I had to work out actually how to do that with Town Centre now. Is there still a procedure for claiming an expense? Does anybody have any idea, or who would I even speak to? Do I submit that to Corey? Anthony, could you please send me the right details of who to speak to? Or I could wander over there now. I have some.
We can't hear.
One moment, Christy.
Hold on. She's coming.
I would just go to the front desk and give it to Elizabeth.
Okay. Well, we can head over there now if you'd like to do that. See if the,
Very good, very good.
although is the doorbell still on? Because last time we tried to get in.
8:30 to 12, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, so should be somebody there. Let's go and talk to them.
All right,
And
you want me
actually,
to
there's a
walk it
good
over
staff
you?
there right
How
now.
come we?
Okay,
Because I've
we'll
got some,
go
I've got the
over.
waivers from Dots to Tots and other things to hand
very
out,
good.
so we could do it all in one fell swoop.
Very, very good. Okay.
All right,
The next meeting, I'm not going to be here. Just so you know,
Next-
so in
next
case
meeting?
you have to worry about it. for me.
thank you very much.
No, I'm going to be on my PPT in Peru.
You can do Zoom from there.
It's going to be a tough one.
You can do so. That's
No,
hard, that's
it's-
hard.
Some of them I could do, but not this week.
It's altitude as well, isn't it? Well, good luck with that. and
Thank you very
Report
much.
back, please. I'd like a presentation for the next meeting.
Oh, I'm hoping.
I hope that's good. Right, if there are no further matters, Christy, did you have a comment, or was it just that you were not able to hear Mary?
Just couldn't hear Mary. Sorry, I'm late.
Okay,
Oh,
thank
very
you.
good.
There are no further matters arising, or adjourn the meeting. And our next regularly scheduled meeting will be November 6th. You've already informed me that you won't be able to make it. Please let me know as soon as possible if you cannot make it, so that we can scrub ahead of time. if
Whatever
needed.
happened?
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Ed.